Have you ever wondered why Venezuela is always in the news? It's often portrayed as a total disaster, but the story is way more complicated than just a failed state. Let's break down the conflict, and I promise to make it simple. When people talk about a war on Venezuela, they don't usually mean soldiers and bombs. They're talking about a different kind of war, an economic one. It involves political pressure, sanctions, and constant attempts to change its government. So, why all the fuss about this one country? Let's start with the big one, oil. Venezuela has the largest proven oil reserves in the entire world. For decades, foreign companies, especially from the US, made a fortune from this oil. But in 1999, things changed when Hugo Chavez became president. He declared that Venezuela's oil should belong to its people, not foreign corporations. The government took greater control of the oil industry and used the massive profits to fund things like free healthcare, education, new housing, and food programs. As you can imagine, this didn't sit well with the powerful countries and companies that were used to getting a big slice of the pie. In global politics, oil is power, and any country that controls its own supply, especially this much, will face immense pressure. Next, Venezuela did something most countries don't dare to do. It openly rejected capitalism. While most of the world operates on a system where private businesses and profit are king, Venezuela chose a socialist path. This meant the government nationalized key industries, controlled prices to keep essentials affordable, and crucially, refused to take loans from powerful international institutions like the IMF and the World Bank. This was a direct challenge to the global economic order. Powerful nations feared that if Venezuela succeeded, other countries in Latin America and beyond might be inspired to follow its example, creating a domino effect that could weaken their influence. This leads us to the third point. Venezuela directly challenged US power. Historically, the United States has viewed Latin America as its backyard, an area under its sphere of influence. Any government that defies this unwritten rule tends to face consequences. Venezuela wasn't quiet about its opposition. It publicly criticized US foreign policy and built strong alliances with countries the US considers rivals, like Cuba, Russia, China, and Iran. It also helped create regional alliances that deliberately excluded the United States. This made Venezuela not just an economic annoyance, but a direct political threat to US dominance in the region. So how do you fight a country without sending in the army? One of the main weapons has been economic sanctions. These are not just slaps on the wrist. These sanctions are designed to cripple Venezuela's economy. They block Venezuela from easily selling its oil on the global market, cut off its access to the international banking system, and freeze billions of dollars of the government's money held in foreign banks. The real-world impact is devastating. It makes it incredibly difficult for Venezuela to import basic necessities like food and medicine, repair its aging oil infrastructure, or pay for public services. Supporters of sanctions claim they are targeted at the government to pressure them into changing. But critics argue that they cause immense suffering for ordinary people and are really a tool to force the government to collapse from within. On top of the economic pressure, there have been direct attempts to change the government. Back in 2002, there was a failed coup attempt against President Chavez. In more recent years, foreign governments have provided funding and support to opposition groups within Venezuela. Perhaps most famously, several countries, led by the US, officially recognized an opposition leader as the legitimate president, even though he had never been elected to that office. These actions show that the conflict isn't just about promoting democracy. It's about actively trying to replace Venezuela's political system with one that is more aligned with Western interests. Then there's the information war. Think about the stories you see about Venezuela in the media. They almost always paint a picture of complete chaos and failure. While it's true that Venezuela has very serious problems, many argue that the international media focuses exclusively on the negative. They often downplay or completely ignore the devastating impact of sanctions, making it seem like the government's policies alone are to blame for everything. This constant negative coverage helps build a public case that justifies foreign pressure and intervention. It's a powerful way to shape global opinion against a country. Now, to be fair, it's crucial to acknowledge that Venezuela's government is not blameless. it has made significant mistakes that contributed to the crisis. For one, the economy was dangerously over-reliant on oil. When oil prices crashed, the country's main source of income dried up, and they had no backup plan. There have also been serious issues with corruption, poor economic management, and a harsh crackdown on political dissent and protests. These internal failures made the country much weaker and more vulnerable to the external economic and political attacks it was facing. So, you might be asking, many countries have problems. Why is Venezuela singled out? It's the unique combination of factors. Venezuela has immense oil wealth, it chose an anti-capitalist path, it directly challenged U.S. power, and it formed alliances with U.S. rivals. This perfect storm of defiance and resources made it a primary target. To sum it all up, the conflict against Venezuela isn't a simple story. It's a complex battle fought with economic sanctions, political pressure, and information warfare. It's driven by a fight over oil, a rejection of the dominant economic system, and a challenge to geopolitical power. The country's own internal mistakes have made the situation worse. Some believe the pressure is a necessary fight for democracy. Others see it as a modern form of imperialism, aimed at controlling resources and crushing any alternative to the status quo. The truth, as always, is likely somewhere in the middle. Thanks for watching and taking the time to understand this complex issue. If you found this breakdown helpful, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into global topics. See you next time.